Bob, you're gonna lead us in pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the same one nation.
Attendance, everyone's here? Who's here, I guess? Minutes from the Wednesday, May 8th meeting. I see Amber has a addition that was correct, Amber?
Yeah, I'd like to add Cindy was also selected to replace Al Taylor on the planning commission as the township board rep.
Whoever that is. So that is under new business, new trustee appointment. It goes right after Cindy Wangbecker for open trustee position, then a vote. Now we're gonna add Cindy Wangbecker was also selected to replace Al Taylor on the planning commission. As township board representative amended to add a June 12th, 2024 regular township board meeting. Is that the only change or correction, addition?
I've got one question on the minutes in addition to that.
Sure.
In the minutes, it says that I was appointed to the invasive species, but I thought I remembered the discussion being something about Al remaining on that. But I didn't think we had decided that I was going to be on it. I just want clarification. I mean, I don't mind being on it, but I remember the discussion about that.
So we had a discussion that Al wasn't on the board anymore and that there should be a board representative on there.
Okay.
Yeah, otherwise we would have left it.
Remember.
Okay, you okay with that? You're open to other appointments too, correct? Any other
I do
discussion?
want the minutes to reflect that I did not answer that question.
Is there a motion? Bob?
Yes, I make a motion that we accept as amended.
Right.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Cindy, second. Any discussion? None being heard, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, that's carried. Amend the agenda. Go ahead, Ed.
I'd like to amend the agenda under new business for credit card policy.
Okay, we'll put that in a new business. Okay, I'd also like to add, going into closed session under the road end of Bernard Dock. We can address that when we get there. Anybody else? Anything else? None, okay. Public comment.
Hello,
Hello.
I have a comment. It's Libby Schleifarth. I'm also have a notice here that the host is turned off my video, so I can't join via video, so I'm confused.
We normally don't have the members of the public have their video on, Libby.
Well, then how- I've watched it before, so why can't I see the? I've seen it
Well, it's not
before.
blocking you from seeing us. We're just not seeing you. We can see that you're on there and we can see your name.
We're not
Well,
blocking you from viewing the
okay.
meeting.
Okay, so how come it's not showing up?
I have no idea.
Okay, all right.
Be
Anyway,
sure to check your camera on the bottom, just make sure it's not crossed through.
That's only.
Right,
anyway.
that's your end.
I have public comment, which I will read now. First, I want to express my appreciation to Amber, Mandy, and Cindy for being so open and helpful with my various questions about the township website and other matters. I am sure I have qualified for the platinum status in the FOIA frequent flyer program. The agenda indicates you will be discussing hiring a FOIA coordinator. As I am sure I have qualified for frequent flyer program, I'd like to comment on this proposal. Most, if not all of my FOIA requests have resulted because the information is not available or is inaccurate on the township website. I have been advocating and requesting the township board develop policies and procedures for the website for over a year and a half. I have also recommended hiring a web administrator, as well as creating a website citizens advisory committee. If the township website was user-friendly, transparent, consistent, and accurate, the need for a FOIA coordinator might not be a necessity. At the very least, the township board should work on the website before it spends tax dollars on a FOIA coordinator. Lastly, the cost recovery ordinance is on the agenda again. It appears the township attorney, at the request of the Onekama Township Board, has drafted a new cost recovery ordinance. I am repeating, as I have for the last several months, my request that the township board collect and provide the public with specific statistics and data on what the effect of proposed ordinance would be before any further action or discussion takes place. Since the township has had Onekama Township Department Emergency Service Charge Ordinance since June of 2014, this data should be easy to obtain. I am disappointed in the board that it would spend taxpayer dollars on attorney fees for drafting a proposed ordinance when there was already one in existence, and that the board would proceed with this ordinance without having the statistics, facts, and ROI to present to the taxpayers. I would like my comments to be part of the official minutes, and I will send Amber an electronic copy. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
I'm here with co-counsel Scott Howard, with the law firm Olson and Howard, for the matter listed on the agenda under new business as Road End Bernard. I would like to request that the agenda, you already amended it, so that unfinished new business can go before the clerk, treasurer, and county commissioner's report. I would also like to request that going forward, all official standing committees and commissioner reports be submitted in writing and made a part of the agenda packet, like the one for Parks and Recreation. Thank you, Parks and Recreation. In order for the public to have the capacity to make relevant and useful public comments during the first public comment period.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hi, I'm Tammy Messner, live on, 3219 Midway Drive. I did send in my letter as well as a map in regards to the public access number 27. And I was curious to know if anybody had a chance to read those. No, yes, the questions that I had in regards to that public road end. Spicer Group has prepared the survey. The markers are in, and we are property that's adjoining to that access. It is an access that comes off of Midway Drive, and it is on a curve. I believe there is a copy of that survey available. My question is, one of them is, for that public road end, will there be signs posted as a public access? Do I just keep going?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
'Cause
great,
We'll have to
great.
discuss them.
All right,
so that's-
wonderful.
Oh, that's right.
All right, so, and this is my first time here, so I'm not
No,
sure
you're
what protocol is. Will the public road end begin with markers at the end of the 180 feet of Midway Drive? How many markers will be placed to identify the road end? Will the markers be identical to those that currently identify public accesses around Portage Lake? What is the time frame for the install of the markers? And is there an ordinance for what adjacent property owners can or cannot do to their property next to the road? Another concern that we have, the Messner family, is because of the curvature of this access coming off of Midway Drive, people that think they're in the access really are not. They're in our yard. So we are just trying to figure out how the access is going to be identified, and if there's anything that we can do to deter ice fishermen, anybody wanting to access the lake from riding bikes, driving vehicles through our yard. And also because that access is off of Midway Drive, our driveway could have the potential of being blocked by ice fishermen and all that, not knowing that it is a public access and not knowing specifically where they need to park. So those are my questions and, hopefully we'll get those answered and I am available to talk and you guys have my letter. Thank you.
Thank you for submitting a letter, by the way.
Yes.
I
That makes
appreciate that
sense.
ahead of time. Yeah.
And like I said, she'll send you another copy of the survey, because that'll be more, not more accurate, but it'll depict the whole. I can't copy it.
I know.
Things too big. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anybody else?
Mr. Supervisor,
Yes.
would you like us to, if we have an item on the agenda later on, would you like us to save our comment till that you get the?
Sure, I'll get you involved. Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely. I figured I'd call Tom and have Tom involved too.
that's fine. I just didn't,
I'm sorry.
I didn't make sure I didn't miss my chance.
No, you will not. No, I would not do that. So when we get to that, if you can just wait, we'll get through all this pretty quick and then I'll get Tom on the phone if that's okay.
You got it.
Okay.
Would anybody from the public on the Zoom meeting like to make a comment? If so, unmute yourself, please.
Gone. Financial report.
They were in the packet that
I
we
know.
sent out to you guys.
I have no questions. We're trying to get this to go quicker. It's in the pack. No questions from anybody? Trial balance, nothing. Okay, clerk's report in the packet.
There's some upcoming dates for the election. So January or July 23rd is the last chance for village applications. And then we currently have election training that I was teaching this morning,
Okay.
and there's another one this evening.
Oh, election training is tonight.
Mhm.
Okay.
Election inspector training.
Election inspectors. Okay. Anybody else? Ed?
My report was in the packet. Summer tax bills will get mailed out before July 1st, so you should expect those. If you don't receive them, please call our office and, we can get you a copy of it at any time. You can also look up your tax bills online. And for the public, please know that you need to use the PO box when you're mailing stuff to the township. If you mail things to 5435 Main Street, they get returned. Our post office is no longer delivering to street addresses if they have a PO box. Had lots of issues with that over the past year. There's a newsletter in the tax bills that will be going out that makes that very explicit, but just if you are mailing stuff here to the township, it needs to be to either the PO Box 458 for general mailings or PO Box 239 for tax bills. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dance, how about your report?
Okay, we had a pretty brief meeting last month. We adopted a hazard mitigation plan that's gonna be going out to the local unit for adoption in the next 12 months. We debated the commissioner pay, we reviewed it, let's put it that way. So we did life-size counties, went around and, we did not act on anything, so commissioner's pay is gonna stay as is. We reappointed, Ted Bodser and Glenn Zaring back to the planning commission. Kevin Hughes, who's in charge of District 10 Health, came before us. Probably one of the biggest things on the plate right now is gonna be septic code that's coming up in here. A lot of stuff on that in the lands. A lot of inexperienced people pushing things. It's 5-year is the big hiccup in regard to that. So, District 10 is not in favor of that, and a whole lot of the state is not in favor of that. It's kind of one size fits all, and again, you have inexperienced people pushing this to put their name in marquee, and it's gonna be a lot of problems. It's extremely costly, even if you could snap your fingers, there's a place to take it all right, if it was to be done. Last month, we had Sheriff Corrections Week and also the National Police Week as well. I can't tell you enough, you've heard me say it before, Sheriff Kutuski does a fantastic job as well as his entire crew, whether corrections or deputies. Do a great job for us. We okayed the summer tax levy as, Eddie alluded to, so those are going out. We also re-upped the contract with Benzie County, so a regional medical examiner has a place to do her work. We changed GIS costs from $60 to $75 per hour to cover some of those expenses as they've increased over time. We also signed off on a letter of support for the M22 walkway up here in on there. So that's to be continued, I guess, and hopefully that'll move forward. Airport, I reported to you probably last month. We were going to be getting boutique. We pulled back on that. We contacted the Department of Transportation at the federal level, and they had some concerns. At any rate, we pushing for contour which is a 30-seat jet. Hopefully DOT will sign off on that. You'll be able to ticket through American and possibly others, but right now American, and hopefully it will start October 1. I'll report when I know, but as I stand here today, I don't know if that will be okayed by DOT or not. Hopefully it will. And it will not be essential air services. The alternate essential air services, what we're going to apply for, which was prior to Cape Air, how we operated, was alternate essential air service. Medical care, we had a groundbreaking on that, even though it was more of a ceremonial thing than actual groundbreaking, but that's moving forward and at a pretty good clip. Recycling is the one thing that came up, so took the charge of trying to get things moved to try to help out the Lions and the Fair Board. They wanted to get the recycle trailers moved from the fairgrounds. We want to do it, went up there and met with Carla. We're gonna look at doing it at the pole barn that's outside there on the southeast side of John, right where the pavement is. So we want to improve that enough to where we don't have to worry about anybody getting stuck there. So I contacted Supervisor Meister in regard to that, and they'd like to get something happen. Because the problem that from my board is we don't want to sit and say, hey, we've got a spot, because we don't have a spot everywhere in the county for everybody. So now it's like there's a special set here for Onekama Township. So I'm trying to get a deal cut to where make everybody happy and try to have the recycling moved by the Blue Barn. But again, we need to get some dirt work done in a prompt manner to get those bins in the truck moved so that program can stay forward. So with that, I guess, Dave, you have any comments?
And you know, we've tried to buy two pieces of property, or tried to buy the first piece, which was, I think, 80,000. The second piece, he's kind of pulled that back off the market across the street. So I don't know what the status of that is right now, but it's not available for the township. Well, we all know that, but it's not available. In case anyone here is asking, it's not available for us to purchase, which is the old Mr. C's. So that's off the table. This makes sense to me when Jeff brought it to me, because what they're looking for is money to help put gravel down. We'd have to sign a long-term, I don't know what you call it, a lease, Jeff, or a long-term.
Yeah,
agreement of some kind.
I'm sure we can get something going there. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it, but again, I'd like to get the commitment from the township to help out getting that dirt work done. And we got a price quote. Carla received a price quote of 25,000 for that. So again, just trying to keep things from somebody getting stuck. And, you know, I don't know what we'll do if we're successful with the grant that we put in again. Hopefully, we'll be able to utilize it there. It's not as elaborate, I don't believe, as what the first round we went 1.2, 1.3 million, whatever the heck that was, when we we're trying to go for the move. But if there's a willingness on making this happen, I'm sure we can make this.
So that's what he asked me to come to the board. He was gonna present.
I think it's a decent option.
I think it's better. We weren't gonna put the things over here anyways. We're gonna decide against that. We still need a place to put them, so it puts us back into buying another piece. This sounds like the cheapest way out. Work with the county on their property.
And if something was to change where my board says it ain't gonna work, I'll obviously relay that right away. Today, our meeting is Tuesday.
Probably before we pay for the gravel.
I would certainly
Well,
assume
I'm
so.
not going to pay for all $25,000 worth of gravel. So we need to have some kind of an agreement and an understanding before we can make that decision.
Is there any way you can give us a report ahead of time? That way we can kind of look at stuff. I know it's a lot to take in
Yeah, I could have Carla,
at a meeting.
she's got a formal quote, you know, I can't tell you that she does or doesn't. I don't believe she pulled it out of thin air.
I mean, the problem, here's a cynical look at this. So the township invests whatever with the county, and we have a perpetual lease until we find another site. But we've got people from all kinds of other townships that aren't paying a dime, that have opted out, that come and use the road. So it's really unfair to Onekama Township taxpayers because we don't have any access control. So, and it's not any different here. It happens all over the county. It happens all over the state. But it's an issue where you have certain townships that have opted out, and the people that live close to here come and use the recycling anyway. They're not paying.
And I hear you, but the same aspect, I'm gonna put on the other hats for my other commissioners. And they're gonna say, you know what? Well, Onekama Township. You wanted it moved for a couple of weeks, so you get the parking lot repaved, and all of a sudden the game changed. So, you know, there again, there's gotta be some good faith here. I understand what you're saying, I understand the paperwork that needs to follow, but there needs to be a commitment.
So,
And again, if we make the commitment, I mean, do we need to have it's not like $25,000 is gonna break us, but I will tell you this. If we put $25,000 into a location that's specific for Onekama Township, then what's to keep Bear Lake from doing that, or wherever there is one else throughout the rest of the county?
I don't think Ed is saying specific to Onekama Township. He's saying, because Bear Lake pays in, don't they? Or they have their own.
Well,
I don't know.
those that operate under, what is it, PA 69?
Yeah.
Those are, you know,
so under PA 69, and I haven't read that statute, don't know, but it seems like, is it prohibited for them for the assessment under PA 69 to pay for facilities and improvements?
I can't give you a technical answer to that.
Because to me, that's the solution. The citizenry wants the recycling, you know, you could increase that assessment a little bit to pay for that sort of thing, because it seems like this is an ongoing issue. With that said, I would be willing to commit some general fund dollars to help that, because Onekama is probably one of the higher utilizers for recycling.
It's
particularly in the summer.
it's the largest by far.
And I think it's a worthy service, but we just need to have something in writing that we can react to.
You're not gonna, and again, this is kind of a trying to put something together on the fly here to make it happen in a short amount of
When
time.
is your meeting?
Tuesday,
We
9 a.m.
could, not a specific, we could give a commitment, we're interested in doing something, could we not tell them that?
I will contact Carla when we leave here. Get
You
her,
favor with that?
she's got a bid, I will try to get that. And if I get it in enough manners where you have it, I'll text Dave or,
Send it to Amber, doesn't matter. Yeah, that's fine. I don't think anyone on the board is opposed to, everyone supported
as
recycling.
long as I get if I get yeah, let's move forward with a commitment, you know. I'm a little bit old school, right, wrong, and indifferent. I'm good with a handshake.
Did that accommodate the PCA trailer too?
Yes, yes. I was, when her and I were over there, I brought it up to Carla, I said, I was under the impression when her and I were talking, school didn't do it. From what Dave tells me, that's not it. That they got the kids go down there because my point of it is, those funds coming from that trailer, if the school has no skin in the game, we can put those dollars in the recycling as opposed to no work, but a check going one way.
For as long as that trailer was here and it got a mess, someone from the school or parents or who kids or whoever came and cleaned it up every time.
Yeah.
I have never.
They
Wow.
split it up amongst the classes for each
So,
month.
but Jeff, he did not know that.
I didn't know.
He just didn't.
They
know
get a
that.
check for it.
It does not mean that the schools, there's no skin in this.
No, they do.
They do.
Yeah, they do. but
It
he
actually
didn't- he
goes
didn't
back.
understand.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you want? A consensus that we're.
Yeah, I would like to get consensus. I could take it back to our board on Tuesday and say, hey, you know, Onekama's willing to go along. Of the 25,000, what are you willing to go for? Let me ask you that.
Well, that's what.
Is it the full
Ed said he'd like
25?
to see
It's gonna be
something that-
what?
He'd like to see.
I
something.
think-
Again, I'm trying to manage this to where my board says, you know what? Don't wanna go there because I don't wanna open that Pandora's box.
So Jeff, for clarification, what would be the term
I'm sorry, what's
of
in
our usage? I mean, is there gonna be anything in writing that guarantees a specific period of time?
we're gonna probably have to, I would say, Dave, we'll sit down and figure out something and we can take to the green team and contractual if that makes everybody happy. You know, as long as it's in that location until there's a better location. You know, to me, we've talked about that a little bit over the last couple of years, because this has been an ongoing issue around here for, God, must be 5-6 years now.
Well, but the last comment you made would concern me, so it's one thing to invest $25,000 patient that we're gonna be using for a long period of time. I
Yeah.
have one reaction to that. I'd have a different reaction if we were asked to invest 25,000 and until a better site is determined.
Well, I think
Site
Cindy, I guess what I would say, and the reason I qualified that is simply maybe there's a better site at some point in time. I would hate to say, hey, we're locked into that site. This site over point B is better than point A. Well, we're locked in. Forget it. That's all I'm saying. You know, and as far as having it on 22 and that, you know,
Well, that can be addressed in a contract where you have, you guarantee a minimum amount, and if it's less than that, you get some of that paid back and move on. I mean, it's easy enough to address.
I agree.
So Dave, I would,
What do you wanna
I would
do?
recommend you and Jeff sit down and negotiate a deal and bring it back to the board for review, a written agreement.
so what I'm hearing a commitment from the township.
Well, Jim has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Unless you want to leave it to.
Well, again, if you were to say the heck with it.
Oh, no,
I'm just saying,
yeah.
the problem of it is, and again, I gotta work with my board
I
as well.
understand.
So, and if we were to say the heck with it and we say, okay, let's get the bins out of there for the summer. And this has been my concern when we moved, is do we want to move them, how many times? At some point in time, you lose.
I still got people coming here.
Yeah.
So. But that's okay. I think most people are, then they're gonna get lost now when we go over there, but we'll put enough signage. You don't wanna leave it to fairgrounds, right? We've already crossed that bridge.
Yeah,
That ship sailed, right?
my board is, it's gotta get out of it,
Okay.
so.
One of the cheapest ideas I've seen, yeah.
It would be the cheapest idea.
And I would guess I'd ask you to check with Carla and have her look into PA 69 and see what exactly that assessment can be used for besides simply picking up and disposing of it.
I think the 69 is, I think, at $9 a parcel for occupied parcels. But we can go up to 25. I don't know as far as what that does or doesn't do as far as dollar
See-
investment in the location. I just don't know.
If it says you could use that, your idea would be to raise the thing up to 25 and take the balance between the two and put that towards the gravel
Well, it's
or an improvement.
potentially and or finding an alternative location if it's not already a county-owned parcel. But I mean, this program should kind of pay for itself because there might be other general fund
Right.
priorities that we want to fund that are higher priority than recycling.
Then you get into the other, we got one commissioner in particular who wants to have the contracts rewritten, so we don't wind up going down this path again. It's the same scenario what's happened here, because this has been a challenge, to say the least.
Do you know how much that $9 raises here?
It's more than that.
19.
I'm sorry.
I don't know.
I'd have to look, I don't know.
20, I don't know how many, okay. It's gotta be in the 20s, right? Not that high. Okay,
Any questions?
no, I think fundamentally we're in favor of that. We have to do something like that.
Any questions from the board or the
Anybody?
audience?
I have one other comment.
Yeah.
And it's brought up by your GIS comment. There's many counties in the state that look at GIS as a kind of community good, and they fully fund that program, and they make that data available to non-commercial enterprises. They have really robust public websites using modern tools. Oakland County comes to mind. I understand they're a lot bigger, but there's a lot of other counties that do that too. I would ask that the county commission take a good hard look at what benefits their GIS program is providing in the current incarnation of it as opposed to what it could be, because it could be a whole heck of a lot more. And I think that would be a real service to the whole county, rather than looking at it as we have to recover every penny we put into GIS. I think there's a ton of uses and resources out there and more modern technology that could make that a real showcase for the county. Just something to think about.
Well, you'll hear me over the time. I'll come up here and mention we waive fees for different local news for GIS access as opposed to the commercial. So, you know, it happens frequently. But again, how robust is it? I don't know the answer.
Okay.
Anything else?
And I guess when I was talking about reports, I just mean for everything, because when we come in and it's a lot of information all at once, maybe if there's, I know I sent out an email asking for reports ahead of time. If there's any way, if there's updates, especially on something like this, that way we can have a little bit of a heads up on what, that way we can.
But we appreciate you coming.
Well, I was gonna say,
Then he won't show up.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
the point of it, here's what happens. Every commissioner does not go to their local.
No.
I'm gonna tell you that point blank.
I did not know.
These are courtesies because I think this is what I should be doing. So I go to Onekama, I go to Manistee, and I go to Onekama Village as well. Do I hit it there every month? No, I just literally got home from a 2-night trip gone. And I wasn't home for an hour and I'm up here. If it wasn't for this subject matter specifically, I probably would have passed today. But
Well, no, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
You've been very diligent about it. No, I think it's very helpful for the board and the public, who's ever,
Good.
all the information they don't get. So no, don't take that.
No, I don't. I understand the question.
I just meant like if something like this,
It's
then it
not-
gives
it's
us
not
that
the
time to
first time
think
I've
about
heard
it,
that
yeah.
asked.
No. Thank you, sir.
All right, anybody else?
Anybody else in the room?
Easy
Questions?
crowd.
Going.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jeffrey. New business. So Tom, is he on there? So you can hear?
He's got to unmute himself, but he can hear.
Tom?
I'm here, David. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we're fine. So I'm gonna open the floor to, who's gonna speak first, either Armin or Scott, I guess, but since you're on the agenda, go ahead, guys. Tom's up, you can hear Tom, so.
Good evening, Scott Howard from Olson and Howard, Herman mentioned earlier. We're here a little bit to listen and to learn, because we're not exactly sure what precipitated putting the road end and the Bernard dock on the agenda. There's just those couple of words. And so I don't know if this is a meeting to talk about, how nice it is, or a meeting to talk about whether or not you want it there any longer, or exactly what's going on. And so to sort of to the point that that was made earlier, I'd love to give you something in writing, but to think about, but I just don't know what the topic is yet. So I'd love to, engage in that conversation. We have a lot of folks here who I think are interested in this and may want to give you some input depending on what you're thinking about doing. But we just, till we know what that is, it's hard to construct anything useful for you. So
Okay.
maybe if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to be able to listen to what you have to say and potentially speak to that a little bit more
Absolutely.
as the meeting goes on.
Sure, Scott.
Thanks.
Thank you. Armin, anything, or did you, okay. Tom, do you want to interject here? So why this is on the agenda and you want to?
Yeah, Scott, just to respond to what your comment, this is a road end, obviously. And there are going to be 2 points of view on this, probably. There's going to be the point of view of I believe it's the Bernard family that has the dock and hoist in that area in the road end. There may also be the point of view of other people that may oppose it. So what is who do you represent, I guess, Scott? I just want to figure out the land.
I represent the Bernard family.
Okay. All right. Okay, my understanding of the issue, Scott, is that I believe this is called Arbor Vitae road end. It's a 50-foot road end that was the result of a platted road dedication that's been identified in the township's road end ordinance and regulated under that ordinance. That ordinance says generally that you can't have, private appendages, a boat hoist or a private dock or boats themselves moored seasonally within the scope of that, within that road end. So the township is considering an enforcement action with respect to the hoist, dock, or seasonally moored boats within the extent of that road end. And I've actually, reacquainted myself this morning with some law on this subject. You probably heard of the Higgins Lake and Jacobs cases and all that. And there's also, I'll just, for discussion to help you, I've got the stuff in front of you that might help you with this. The other thing to think about is there's a new statute under the inland lakes and streams part of the environmental code, it's MCL 324 .30111B. It was adopted in 2012, and it prohibits certain things, boat hoists, et cetera, within public road ends. So we have a statute we're dealing with, which is it's a misdemeanor that I believe the county sheriff would probably enforce. The township's road end ordinance is a municipal civil infraction penalty. So I think where we are is my understanding of the facts is that we've got a dock, a hoist, and a boat that have been at the end of this road end now for quite a long time. They've been used privately, and that's inconsistent with both that statute and with the road end ordinance. And the road end ordinance provides for a district court municipal civil infraction penalty. The state statute provides for a misdemeanor penalty. So we're at the point of bringing in an enforcement action because it's inconsistent with both of those, both the road end ordinance and the state statute. And it also, underpinning all that, are the Michigan Court of Appeals cases that are commonly bandied about on this subject, and that's the Jacobs cases and the Higgins Lake cases. And I'll give you the cites on them if you want them. You got, Higgins Lake Property Association, 255 Mishap 83. That goes into the Jacobs cases. So this is really way I look at this is that the township's road end ordinance and the state statute are really codification of the interpretation of platted road end dedications reflected in the Higgins Lake and Jacobs cases. And so that's kind of where we are, is that the township is faced with a fact situation that it believes needs to be enforced to enforce its road end ordinance to require the removal of the hoist and any seasonal docks there or seasonal boats or private docks. So that's my understanding of where we are, to give you some background.
Thanks, Tom, and I'd be happy to respond a little bit to that. One is that, as you all know, you have a road end ordinance, and it specifically provides for a non-exclusive private dock at the end of arborvitae. That's existed in this context since 2013. This has been around for the past 10 years. I guess one important question from our perspective is what has changed? Why is this not okay now when it was okay the past 10 years? There's nothing done about it in the past 10 years. I appreciate your recitation of the law, Tom. I think that the law is very clear that you absolutely can have a municipality can authorize, and you can have a dock at a road end. That is absolutely part of those cases and part of the codified law. And that's exactly what your ordinance does. So,
Are you saying on that ordinance it says you can have the dock at arborvitae?
That's correct. The version of the ordinance that is, there's actually two versions of the road end ordinance on the website. And I'm looking at the one that it states at the top that it is amended by motion August 5th, 2013.
It says arborvitae public access.
That's correct. If you look on page 2 of that, line number 28, 50 foot, 290, the plat is 290, plat of Portage Park Edition, non-exclusive private dock.
Non-exclusive private dock. It, for that road end, it just says public access. I don't know where it says non-exclusive private dock. That says it for Portage Avenue. Am I misreading my own ordinance?
I'm happy to show you
Okay, that's fine.
my version, but again, I think that there are two
Okay.
there are two different versions of the ordinance on your website, and so, I think the important thing is,
Could I see that?
yeah, sure.
Sure, thank you.
This is the day.
Okay, I have the second one.
And David, I have a copy of something too that you can read on your English minutes, okay?
All right, I didn't hear it, Scott, thank you.
You're welcome to keep that, it's just a printout, so.
And this is different than the one I have, so.
Yeah, and importantly, there are two versions of the ordinance that are on your website. Again, the latest version based on the caption is this
Okay,
version that I just showed you.
we'll have to, we'll have to straighten that. So I see where it says, on your thing, it says public non-exclusive private dock. I don't know what that is, but we could talk about that, but I don't think that gets into the other part of it, which is storage of any boats, boat hoists, docks, ice shanties, or placement of any other man-made structures which obstruct or encroach upon the public road right of way are absolutely prohibited.
Correct.
That would be the boats, the boat lift. Would you agree?
The,
Do you have a survey to show that?
yeah,
Do you have a survey showing that an encroachment?
Do you have any storage of any boats, boat hoists?
Dave,
docks, or-
Do you have a survey showing an encroachment?
Dave, I don't think we should.
I guess not. No, I guess not. Go ahead, Scott, you can continue.
I think to Armin's point, it's just, we collectively, before we can really have a reasonable discussion, we need to know what the concern is, what the potential violation is. And then,
Okay.
from there, we can,
Tom, do you want to answer that, or do we want to?
Well, as we talked earlier, I don't think we've seen the version that Scott's talking about that talks about a private dock at Arborvitae. The version I've got talks about the one at Portage Avenue. So we got to figure that out, I guess, first thing, which version we're dealing with and what it says. To Armin's point, yeah, I mean, it might be worth a survey to make sure we know where the confines of the 50-foot access site at Arborvitae are, so we know whether the boat and dock are within that or not. But I guess my other question is, do the Bernards own an adjacent lot adjacent to the public access site where they'd be allowed to place a boat? I mean, are they alleging that a neighbor, a front lot owner is giving them permission to put a dock out in front of their place? I don't know. I don't know what that.
Tom, was the reason that Scott and I called or had the phone call with you and the Township supervisor on Friday, was to try to outline some of this information. It's also why I requested that you contact the county planning department to find out how this whole thing came about, because we're confused. I don't think it's appropriate for council to comment until we know what's going on. And quite clearly, everybody's here, nobody knows what's going on and how this came about.
That's not true. I was called last year because there were boats on the dock.
When were you called, Dave?
I don't remember. I have pictures of it the day I was there. There was 2 boats on 2 lifts with the T dock going this way into the lake. It was encroaching supposedly on the neighbor's property, and that's why I was called. You're asking me how I got called? That's how I got called. I went out, viewed the property, took a picture of the 2 boats on the lift, which is in direct violation of our road end ordinance. I'm sorry. You're asking me where this came from? That's where it came from.
David, is that road end marked with our galvanized posts, or they get washed out?
Yes.
Yeah, they're.
And were those posts placed via survey?
Yes.
Do we have a survey? Yes.
So to answer your question, Armin, that's the answer to the question. How did that come about? That's how, did I know this was there for 10 years? I had no idea. You're telling me the dock has been there with boats on it for 10 years? Well, it's been wrong for 10 years. I'm sorry, you can't have boats. I'm just speaking. That's what the ordinance said. It's on any public road end. I mean, you want to now argue that you think, who then gets to put a boat out on a public road end? Is that your argument? I want to put my boat out there. I mean,
Dave, I'm
just
just gonna
saying,
argue with you.
I'm not
at
arguing.
the,
I'm not
this
arguing.
township meeting. My
I'm
point
not-
is this.
Would you read that number 2, please? Because that clearly states that.
I know, Carol. I know.
It's
Tom, I don't-
township granted it.
How about Scott? Do you have anything else? I mean, to batter with Tom because
Can you just tell me which section of the ordinance you were reading from? earlier?
section 6,
No. Oh,
subsection B. I think it should be the same on yours.
Can you tell me when that was passed? And would you provide us, Scott and I, a copy of the official certified meeting minutes and signed?
What, when the road ordinance was
Whatever,
adopted?
whenever you're looking at there that said,
It's on the bill. Sheet. No one signed it and dated it.
Well, Shelley did. It was certified. Yeah, we can look that up. I'm sure that's no problem.
That's the new one then if it was.
But that, I think back, if I'm not mistaken, we look back as far as that has always been in there. This is something new.
David, did you read number 2?
Yeah, but it's fine. I know that.
No, but no one else knows it. I mean,
That's
you need to
okay.
read it
Well-
out loud.
Yeah, but not at this time.
Why not?
Well,
That would supersede everything you're talking about. It says that if you grant permission to them, special permission, that they can keep a dock there as long as it's issued for the public.
for the public, that is a true statement.
And they could do it.
Can't have a boat. Can't have
What do you
a
mean?
boat and a lift. Can't store a boat there.
That's
Can't have-
not what it says. If you look at the case and.
No, I'm sorry. What it says is you can put a dock out for non-exclusive use. It doesn't say you can store a boat.
No, no.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm not an attorney. You can end up in courts.
Well, but I know people who live in all county that had the same situation.
Okay.
So you can wave your
Carol,
hand
I'm
at
sorry,
me.
you're out of order. You're out of order, please. Okay, anything else, Scott, or?
No, just, we'd be happy to respond to the concerns addressed in subsection 6B. I don't think we're necessarily talking about apples to apples with that provision, but I think it just is easier, it's better for us to be able to understand what your concern is, and then we can respond to it, more clearly.
The reason I've been there for 10 years without a problem, the question that Scott asked was, how did that come about? Who raised the concern?
About what? About the boats being?
I'd like to just say one thing. I'm a neighbor. We've all been neighbors for years. We've known the dock has been there. We were under the assumption that it was a public entity, that if we needed to use it, we could use it with no problem. I understand it's completely insured. It's a non-issue. I don't understand what the big deal is. All of a sudden, it's just, did somebody call you on it, or was somebody just walking around and taking pictures?
Till I came and was told last year, I didn't know there were boats out there.
Okay, I mean, whatever you guys determine about the boats is what you determine, but I mean, these are lots of neighbors, right next door neighbors in fact, and I just don't understand what the deal is. I just,
Okay.
it's being, other people besides the Bernard family is using.
The dock, and no problem. I'm not gonna say, Tom, do we have anything else to say?
No, I just logistically, I just emailed the letter for your session to talk about this in closed to Amber and yourself, David. So if you want to do that closed session and talk about it, I've emailed the letter to you. To you and Amber, so you'll have to get that, and then we can go into closed session if you want to do that. Talk about the issue. You need a roll call, but obviously roll call vote, you know that. Yeah.
Right, I know, okay. Very good, we'll do that, I'll call you back, thank you.
Okay,
Let's do it at the end of the meeting. I don't wanna.
You wanna do it at the end of the meeting? Okay, that's fine with me. We can do it at the end of the meeting, yes, Kevin.
I don't know how much this applies, but when I had the problem with the fence in, on my property, Judge Batts ruled was adverse possession. It had been that way for a long time. And he ruled in my favor.
Okay.
So this isn't quite adverse possession, but it is something that's been done for quite a long time. So I just wanted to speak up on it.
Okay, thank you. We'll just move on and we won't go into closed session now. We're gonna do it at the end of the meeting. That way some of these other people, in case they want to be involved, with something else. FOA coordinator. I know Libby brought this up, Amber brought this up. Amber has been doing all the FOA requests. It is not her statutory duty. She looks up a lot of stuff, but the coordinator would have to be somebody else that we have to appoint. We've never appointed.
Would you ever consider posting a job? Or would it be somebody, just like doing a job posting or?
I don't know, we're talking, that's why we're gonna
Yeah.
talk about this.
I think that the FOIA coordinator and the website, this is just my opinion. I'd like to get someone else in here that could be the FOIA coordinator, help us with the website, webmaster. And then you have someone in here to help out with all of the daily things as well. And, I know that with the FOIAs that have been coming in, several other townships have different FOIA coordinators.
You guys get a lot of them, I don't mean to interrupt, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you have to stop, please. We have to take this right. No, that's all right. Yeah, we have been getting a lot.
I get 2 to 3 a day right now. So with elections coming up I mean, right now, this week, we have audits, elections, board meetings. With the FOIAs, it's a lot. So personally, I would like to have somebody else. I think it helps with everything for the public, transparency, all that. If you have somebody that could possibly do both of those things in one. We can always use extra hands on the website. The FOIA, I know there's a lot of questions with the cemetery I've been getting lately as well. That's stuff that if we have one more hand in here, I think it would really help. Yeah.
So I don't know what to do.
Well, it's. So when
I always thought, so you know, I always thought it was the clerk's job to do it. Till I found out it wasn't. And it used to be years ago.
City managers.
Used to be the supervisor was doing it. This is like, they changed the law years ago. I would have been the FOIA coordinator. And now you got the board has to appoint
So,
whoever that might be.
so when I was thinking about this, because I didn't know quantity, I guess for me, just to say, hi, we need a FOIA coordinator, we have 2 to 3 a day, and all of that, I would like to understand the substance of it. So is it, and it's interesting that it was mentioned earlier. I mean, my question is it situational? Is it related to a few different topics? Is it something that would be avoided if we did have records more readily available? Because if that was like a core issue, then I'd rather invest money in solving the core issue than Band-Aid. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they're asking for everything.
So they're asking for everything. It is, I'm forwarding them to zoning, I'm forwarding them to planning commission. They're trying to get back and forth with those. Majority of them are zoning and planning commission right now. And they want meeting minutes from years ago that wouldn't be on the website. You know, they want the original policy, they want the original ordinance, they want the stuff that, even if it was, we had an updated website, right? All that stuff's not gonna be in there from 2006, 2000, whatever. That is stuff that I have to go into our records, then look up and go in, which sometimes the planning commission, sometimes zoning, sometimes they have those, which really helps. a lot of times it's, hey, I'm contacting them saying, is there one of these that exist? Is there this? What do you have with your records? So I can compare with my records, sending them, surveys, stuff like that, that might not be on the website either. Voters, obviously I handle that as the clerk. That's not gonna be readily available on the website.
And the coordinator isn't the one that looks for the information. So if it's like a zoning question, whoever the request comes in, let's say I'm the coordinator, I would go, okay, the request is for some zoning issue, then I have to get a hold of the appropriate people, which would be Katie or Jody, and I would ask them to provide me with that information. If they did not have that information or could not provide it, then I'm the guy that has to answer back to the individual and say that information is not available. That's the most important thing, or to deny a request. That is the most important thing that the coordinator does. He's not the guy, or she is not the guy, the person that gets the information. They're the ones that delegate it to whoever may have the information to try to get it.
Because you have to write a formal letter. You also have to build on
I'm
this.
familiar with FOIA
Yeah.
requests. You don't have to educate me. on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I
So-
understand.
You're not necessarily looking stuff up as the coordinator, but you are delegating it to whoever, whatever group, authority, whoever commission, and hopefully they have it. It becomes a nightmare just because, again, you gotta get a hold of zoning or planning commission. You want minutes from 10 years ago. Well, that's not on the website. None of that is, right? Go back and look for it. It just takes time.
They
It's
want a
taking-
certain person's permit, they wanna know this land use permit, they wanna know this, any of those items, those are not going to be on the website. That's just not something we're going to be able to put everybody's land use
It's not the
because,
purpose of our website.
right,
Not all the information that everybody might want on the website is gonna be on the website. It's not done. Those are internal records.
well, and I mean, even on, I've had a FOIA request for an application for the fire department. That's not something that's on the website, and stuff like that.
So, David, we have to appoint a FOIA.
Do.
And the mere fact of a FOIA coordinator, in addition to what you said, it makes sure that we're meeting the timelines.
Correct.
that we're Following our procedure, that we're telling them that we need an extension. And then we're protecting the township legally to make sure that we've complied with the FOIA law and the FOIA request. I think that is an important position that needs to be filled. If we haven't formally appointed one in the past, we need to do that on a temporary basis or maybe permanent basis. But it isn't gonna change the fact of, by doing that, isn't gonna change the fact on who has to look up the record. So if somebody FOIAs a tax related record, I'm gonna be the one.
Right.
So I don't know that it changes the burden tremendously. It certainly takes some of that off of the clerk if there's somebody else who's kind of shepherding that through the process. But I do think we need to appoint somebody and then possibly revisit this as part of a broader conversation about statutory duties versus other duties, the need for additional help or not, what people are being compensated for statutory duties versus non-statutory duties. It all plays into the same thing. Because with the way we have adopted our salary ordinances, technically that's for statutory duties only, but it's always included a whole bunch of other stuff that's not statutory. So the recommended way to do that is to have a salary for the statutory duties, and then if there's additional things, you adopt that salary separately, because that can be changed and moved or whatever. If you're paying an elected official a certain amount, that cannot be changed while they're standing in office. So in our case, the salaries that are set now can't be changed until that person has run for office again or whoever. So if we're gonna revisit this, we need to do it before November, break those duties out and readopt salaries from November moving forward that reflect all of it, in my opinion. But that's gonna take some time and effort and probably a couple of work sessions to talk.
I agree with that. So what are you gonna do in the meantime? Because she does not want to be the FOIA coordinator, correct?
So is there anybody on the board that's going to do the FOIA coordinator?
Now I understand the comment David made.
Comment was that? Did I make a comment?
I still think it would be great to have someone extra in here for everything. There's daily things that I know I had mentioned this before when we were appointing Cindy, that Bob does in here that one of us has to learn it. You know, I understand we're all trying, but we're still only 4 people aside from that one. And, one of those being cemetery. Cemetery is a huge thing that us as a board, we're all responsible for. You know, I'm responsible for the records of it, but there's so much more than just that in the cemeteries. The website. Currently, the website, there's 2 of us, about to be 3 of us with access to it. It would be nice to have someone that goes, hey, this could use updated, this could be posted, this could be on there. And that's why I say if they're the FOIA coordinator, they can kind of see, all right, hey, these are things that should be on our website. These are things that, that's my opinion, just my opinion of it. But, the other thing is great when you have turnover. If you have somebody in here who is an extra hand in the office, if tomorrow all of us weren't on the board anymore, that's a person who is hired in, not just elected in. That could help out any of us in that position of turnover.
And we've talked that the township is growing and doing more things and being more active and might be at the cusp of needing some kind of a position like that, whether you call it township manager or an operations manager or whatever that might be. Defining what those duties could look like and if it justifies a part-time position or part-time position or full-time position or whatever. We haven't gone to that level of analysis to look at that. But there's more and more things that are being asked of the township and more things and initiatives that the township wants to do. And, you're not always gonna have a trustee like Bob that is basically our handyman and coordinates all the facilities and does a lot of, in the past, that's been the case, but maybe we won't get so lucky next time. So we need to work that out and figure out what makes the most sense, but I don't think that can be figured out today, but
I still think we need to, I agree, we need to have a discussion.
Yeah.
We could put that in with the cost recovery to incorporate those 2 things into one. Maybe we can have a
I
meeting.
don't think you can get through.
Maybe a work session for each of them.
Okay, let's say we need a work session. We still need to appoint a coordinator today. I just don't want to do it. I mean. So that's not happening.
That's what he was saying.
Are you interested at all part-time? You get reimbursed for it, but it would be a big position.
I'm trying to understand what the expectation is.
The
So
coordinator's like a coordinator, that's it.
that's kind of why I wasn't trying to educate. I was just trying to express on how much work that there is with it. Because it does require a letter. It does require, your response. If you're extending, that has to be filled out and put in.
Cost estimate.
The cost estimate, things like that.
That's all that the FOIA coordinator, the research isn't done by the FOIA. Everybody else produces records, gives it to the FOIA coordinator, and they.
I will help you.
I want to understand.
But David, does the township have a designated FOIA coordinator?
No.
Was it ever formally bill clerk in the past?
Helen just did it. After I was taken away from me, Helen just did it.
And then Shelley just kind of did it
Shelley
too.
just did it.
The other challenge that we have is that the FOIA law talks about business days, and just because the township's open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, doesn't.
You
mean
still have
Thursday,
5
Friday,
business days, Thursday.
So it makes it more challenging.
Right. So-
And I've hit that a couple of times now too, where just with elections coming up alone, it's gonna get rough.
Is that something that Mandy would like a few extra hours to be able to handle?
Mandy is completely swamped right now. I mean, if you saw how much she is
Can advertise for the
doing.
position. I don't know who would apply.
David, can we lasso you into doing it until we have our work session and figure out if that.
When's the work session?
Somebody else, or we need to schedule.
Tomorrow?
2027.
Tomorrow, work session tomorrow.
Next year this time.
Oh, whatever, I'll volunteer. I don't really want to. And it's a short time. It's fine.
Well, it'll force us to schedule that.
Someone needs to make a motion.
I'll make a motion, we appoint Dave Meister, Township Supervisor, as the interim FOIA coordinator.
There's a
Boy, I'll
second?
second that.
Yeah, I knew you would. None, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, Dave. Yes, I'm opposed. It still passes 4-1.
So are we agreeing though that we need to have a work session to just focus on employment issues, or gaps, or whatever.
All these things, we just talked about everything. Yes, it has to be fixed sooner or later, sooner than later. Okay, website access for updates. We have to add the, huh?
For your coordinator does.
No, I'm not doing that.
Well, so
The policy says.
there's no problem. The website, so let's be clear on what's going on. The city had, or the township had a shared website that was hosted on the PLA. website.
Right, then we got our,
And it was impossible to update and difficult to get it timely and didn't look like a municipal website. So we made the decision as a board to get a new website. We did. We imported over all the information from the old. And I can tell you, because I've looked at a lot of municipal websites, I've been involved in other municipal websites, we have a pretty darn good municipal website, notwithstanding comments from some members of the public. Can it be better? Sure, can always be better. Can pages be updated more often? Yep, absolutely can. So those are all valid criticisms. But I can tell you, not everything that everybody wants to see on that website are ever gonna be, because that's not what they're designed to do. Websites are designed to be timely information, historical archives to a degree, ordinances, things of that nature, meetings, minutes. Right now, it was set up, the clerk's office and the treasurer's office went through that training. So right now, Amber has access to it. I have access to it, and we gave Vic Pratt, as the chair of the Parks Commission, access to it, so he could maintain the parks portion of the website, but they're doing a fine job, and it's done more timely. I think the issue that, in my opinion, that we run into is that the basics, the blocking and tackling of the website, like posting minutes, posting meetings, posting the calendar, making sure the ordinances are up to date, all those things we need to execute on as collectively as a board. Some of that probably needs to get reviewed to make sure everything is current. There's other portions of the website that are more static and kind of evolve over time. So for instance, my biography on the website isn't going to change. Right? I'm not going to go in and change that. And there's some information that's just, here's how the tax collection process works. We're not going to change that. I don't think our website has any problems from a navigation standpoint. There's a few things that can be cleaned up. It's done by a vendor that does thousands of municipal websites. It's a best practice. So if we think, as part of this employment discussion, that we'd like some more people to get authorized to use that, and I know Cindy has requested that, so she can assist with that. Or if we get some kind of a position that can help with that, I think that can all be looked at. But I don't think that the website is terrible by any stretch of the imagination right now. And yet, do things get missed occasionally? Sure, just like any website. That's my opinion.
should we give Mandy access to the website and post?
Mandy will have access.
She will, okay, that's fine, I want that.
Yeah, and no,
As soon as she's trained.
yeah, I'm gonna train her.
Okay, very good,
So she'll have access. That's coming up in about another week.
okay,
There's the new training coming up. that we'll be doing.
is that it? That's it?
That's my opinion. I don't know what anybody else.
No, that's fine.
I would like to see, well, I think Sydney's gonna take over planning commission, correct, on the website? Is that what you were gonna do, updates? I don't know. I'm just,
I just said, how can I?
okay,
Because there were things, kind of like you're saying, there's just some things
some
that
little things.
aren't updated.
I just wondered about other committees giving them access to just their part of it, kind of like we did with Parks and Rec, because. that
Promise,
works
can they
so
get in there and do it?
I can tell you, in my experience with this type of a website, those sound great on paper. Reality is they don't work.
well.
Because now you've got to, it's like herding cats. You've got to manage 17 different people. But if we figure out one, who and what, who's doing what, who's responsible, and maybe it's just board members, but to do what part of it, I think we can execute that and make it clear. If you get a bunch of different people and they're maintaining stuff, one, you're gonna have, I think, a worse product than you have, in my opinion. That's just how, in my experience. I think we just need to quantify what we're looking to accomplish and who's gonna be responsible. And then, and you can have backups too, and making sure that I think we can muddle through this and get it to a better product, because it's pretty good as it is right now. Can it be better? Yep. And we can accomplish that through, putting the right resources.
Okay.
Well, and where I piggybacking on that, my concern of just allowing all types of individuals, committee people to do it, then you're gonna end up potentially having pages that don't even look like they belong to the same family. And I don't think we want to do that either, which then gets into policies or whatever as to what is supposed to be on this page.
Well, so yeah, and Lydia has said several times we should have a website policy. And perhaps we should, but it's not gonna dictate what goes on what page and blah, blah, blah. Normally those are broader about, can some kind of a public business post on this township's webpage? You know, that's easy. So it's more broader things. How it's done internally is just procedures that we don't necessarily need to lay out in a policy. So those are all discussions that we can have. But, I happen to think the website's pretty darn good and has a lot of good information. And notwithstanding you having 2 copies of the ordinance, Scott, so appreciate you pointing that out. We'll type.
Okay,
So is that a second work session or is that a meeting?
works at work session, and then we're gonna get all this done in the meeting. I'm just gonna jump in because Molly's been sitting there. Molly, you wanna give your assessors report?
We have one more new business.
We do credit card. Molly,
So the township board approved,
sorry.
Vic to have a credit card, so that he could facilitate parks purchases and the reimbursement process. Didn't have to happen, which is cumbersome and awkward, and the board approved it. The township credit card policy was inconsistent with that because it didn't say if 4 other individuals designated by. So I just updated the policy to reflect that, and I sent that around. It wasn't in the packet because I didn't have it in time, but I don't know if anybody has any questions on that.
So what the main change is township credit cards may be used only by an officer of the township board, an officer of the fire department, or other individuals designated by the township board, collectively credit card users for the purchase of goods and services for the official business of the township.
Anything in yellow.
Everything in yellow has been corrected, but that is a substantial change and it allows for Vic to, I mean, we gave permission to use it, but it was opposite of what the our policy did say, so.
But to be clear, David, since the township board adopts the policy and the township board made a valid binding motion, it doesn't make any difference. It supersedes what's in this policy. So this is just updating the policy to reflect what
The board already did, so.
After reading this policy.
And this is what you emailed it.
Yeah.
This isn't different from, okay.
No, so I need a motion by somebody.
That we accept the credit card policy as court.
I'll second that.
I have one.
Credit card policy resolution number 2024, roll call vote. Brad?
Can I ask a
Oh,
question?
sure, discussion, sorry.
On for I, the only question I had, because of the way it was worded, is there any other type of disciplinary action that would be needed or taken other than that?
So this policy predates me. If we want to revisit some of the other provisions in here, I think we certainly can. I don't know what the genesis of the language in section I was. I just updated the stuff to address who gets to use a credit.
Okay. Because of the way it was written, it sounded to me like prior to, there might have been a list of them that was eliminated. So I didn't know if the intent was that the reimbursement is the
As
only.
long as I've been here, that thing's never come up. I mean, but.
Yeah, and that's the language that was in the.
Right, I saw it. I saw it.
Okay. And you? How do you vote?
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes,
Cindy,
Yes.
David, yes. Supervisors declare the resolution adopted. 24-10, Amber, here you want this?
I've got it. I've got one.
You've got a
Thank you.
clean copy.
Got the thing, you don't like?
Well, we're gonna have to print a new one.
Not
I
the
don't have the
Okay,
highlighted
I'm sorry,
one.
Molly, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. It corrected me.
Fine.
Okay,
We ran into one little hiccup with migrating to the cloud for assessing. We have no drawing program because Onekama Township did not own a license. So Apex drawing software would be $740. It's $655 for the main program, $85 for the survey module. The link would be loaded up into your cloud somewhere, however that works. But we can't draw without the license. So You need the license and then your support with the survey module and the regular programming is $345 a year, which would be a yearly expense.
To explain why that happened, my old company, when Jenny was here, we paid for the license and maintained it, and I didn't realize that when we closed down, that it went away, that I thought they would just bill Onekama, apparently.
No, you do not have a license according to Eric, so. They will bill you, and when we have our training with BSNA tomorrow, if you approve it tonight, he's sending me a link. BSNA will upload the link into the file. If you approve it, and then they will bill you.
Do you have a copy of any of that?
I will, it's coming. I didn't realize till this afternoon when I tried to pull Apex off that you did not have Apex.
Someone make that motion,
Well,
for a total
$740
of another 300 and,
next year.
oh, that's not till then,
That's
okay.
not till
Is
next
there
year.
a second for Bob's motion? Second by Cindy. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's carried.
And I have more training tomorrow, so.
that's called an Apex.
Apex
Apex
drawing
software.
program. It's the one we do all the drawings with.
Cloud has gone really well. We've had another few little burps that Ed's working with us for the GIS mapping and how that component will work.
I've got a meeting tomorrow in between the stuff, and hopefully get that resolved.
Right, so Ed's working on that so we can have our good mapping back, so. But it's been pretty good. I can scan. And it goes right to the cloud, so you can work anywhere, scan anywhere, so. It's worked well. Postcards have gone out to the lake residents, so. Probably start that in 2 weeks, cause I wanna give out of town people time to get their cards.
And we're doing, construction today.
Right, and we are doing new construction at this time.
So if you see someone out, there's two crews of us out earlier.
It's too late, raining all the time.
No, it wasn't raining. It's fine. Anything else? Thank you very much. Questions for Molly? No, thanks, Molly. I guess I'll see you in the morning. I have to go do the update. Class, or whatever you want to call it.
Training, David,
Yeah,
training.
whatever. Did they have FOIA training? Property purchase update. The update is, it's not on the market for sale. Period, I guess. Till the village decides, or someone in the village decides, apparently they want them to keep that open for some kind of business, obviously, so.
So. Have you had a conversation with the property owner?
Not since he sent me a text that said it was off the market.
So
He's gonna be up here next month.
I would encourage you to.
Yeah.
Because he needs to hear both sides of that issue.
Okay. Cost recovery ordinance, contrary to what was mentioned earlier in the meeting, we haven't had Tom draft a new cost recovery ordinance. We haven't even had a separate meeting to talk about incorporating what Rob asked. All we did was send Tom our existing one until I just didn't even tell him to look at it yet, because we haven't given him the new stuff.
Tom did work on the new one.
He looked at,
He did, we had a draft of it.
from before, okay, not the original, I did not know that, okay.
No, because when it was brought to us by the fire department, they didn't want us to know, and I was unaware that we had an existing cost recovery ordinance. So my bad for not knowing that, and the board's bad for not knowing that, so.
Well, I knew we have it, but I thought it dealt, my mistake too, we thought it dealt strictly with consumers. Which it does,
That's one.
well, but it deals with more than consumers.
Yeah.
So,
Deal dealt with it, correct.
So I would recommend that we
have a work session
remove this from the agenda
until we have a work.
until such time as we can have a work session to discuss it.
I agree with you. Another work session, so at least then
I love work sessions.
it'll be fine. Okay, let's go real quick here. Fire, Rob, we have,
Get my report.
and we have an application somewhere
In the packet.
from
Killian.
Sir.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Serenaki?
Yeah.
Serenaki. Okay, Killian, Serenaki. Younger?
Yep, younger, he is fire 1 and 2 trained already
Oh, he's already trained.
through the Detroit Fire Department
Oh, you're kidding me.
and the
Okay.
EMT. Waiting to pass his registry.
Okay.
Lives in the village.
Had someone make a motion to put him
I'll
on?
make a motion that we accept him.
I'll
Is there a
second.
second?
I'll second.
Okay. Oh, any discussion? None being heard, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried.
On that same topic, I'll need a new employee packet for him.
For fill out.
And Ashley
For
too.
Ashley, and then we have a chaplain. That probably should be
Put on the
put
department.
on the department officially, so I'll need.
Did we put him on yet? Should we make
Yeah,
a formal motion?
Yeah, formal motion to accept the chaplain,
Do you have his name?
Mark. Ike, Ike, Mike, yeah, Mark, forward from the Bible camp.
Oh, okay. Okay, Mark Ikes.
Ike, yeah.
I'll make a motion.
You make the motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Amber, discussion.
What's the chaplain do? Just, is there in case you guys have like a fatality or debrief, that sort of thing? Is
So he's there for the public and the fire department.
that a paid position then?
It-
Shows up?
Can be, should be, and what he chooses to do with that is,
Well, we don't, the reason I ask is because I want to make sure we got it right and cross, we don't have that position listed on the schedule. So if it's gonna be a paid position, we need to probably amend that schedule to include that. If it's not,
Can put chaplain on there.
then that's.
so we'll check that, because we had one before. But you
I
guys
don't remember seeing, I could be wrong, I just don't recall.
might not be in the pay schedule. Good,
I think, are we done with
Yeah,
stuff?
I have a question.
I have, okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
All right, so, obviously, we know that we had a little issue with the boat.
We haven't voted on the chaplain yet.
Oh, vote on
I said, are you guys that done asking questions? And you said, no, I have another question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's carried. Now, the vote, go ahead.
Okay, so, most of you are aware that we had a little issue with the boat when we had those heavy rains come through. So in the report, it says the boat was in the water. It was temporarily out of the water. It's going back in tomorrow, fully functional. No long lasting effects from it waterlogged. The reason, for those that are wondering, it didn't shed the water the way we thought it was going to shed, according to Saugatuck Fire, where we bought it from. It was their kind of design on the drain. Didn't work real well. Got list from the heavy rains, and once it started listing, all the water inside of the boat, and it just kind of went on its side and then settled back down. Since then, we've incorporated the floor drains into the village. Village has got 3 pumps on it, pump probably 63 gallons a minute between the 3 of them. So we won't have that. Saugatuck plugged them. It was their way. They said they were very, I think that it was gonna work that way. Obviously, we found that they didn't. So, we took the plugs off the floor drains. That is now, into the village are pumping.
Oh, so the bilge pumps weren't working.
They were working. They just had nothing to pump out. The water couldn't get down to the village. It stayed on the deck.
Sounds like a good design.
Right, in theory, what they thought probably would work, I don't wanna get and bore everybody, but the floor drains they put in were way high off the deck. Well, by the time that water got that high to run out, it created enough weight that it lowered the stern of the boat. So then it became a waterway versus
Well, it also rained, what, 4 inches?
4 inches in an hour and a half roughly.
Okay.
So,
I'll interject. Rob called me immediately and told me what had happened, and I told him, he went, got hold of Onekama Marine immediately. I did not let the rest of the board, I didn't call anybody, we just went and had it fixed. That's my fault for not notifying the board members. I guess I probably should have, but Rob was on it, Onekama Marine was on it, and I just thought the best thing to just get it fixed, obviously, pull it out of the water, which they did. Took a couple hours. So.
And you don't think there's any lingering damage or damage that's gonna rear its head to the electronics?
So they ran everything, yesterday. The only thing that isn't coming on is the siren, and I think it's just an operator error, the switch that you have flipped. So, they're putting it in the water tomorrow. I'm gonna make sure I'm there. And we'll go for a little voyage, but yes, Onekama Marine says that everything is in working order. There's no dampness inside of anything. Most all that equipment is designed for that, short term. You know, if it sat down there for 8-10 hours, it might be a different story. But, Onekama Marine was extremely quick to respond to that and get it up out of the. So, both motors have been running multiple times. They tested them several times, different days, just. Oh,
Okay, thank you. Questions for Rob, anybody? No. Thank you. We should go before town news.
He already signed off, he's gonna have to call up.
I know, but once he leaves,
I mean, respectfully, you guys are costing the Bernard family money to have attorneys here.
We didn't invite the Bernard's attorneys. Sorry.
but if someone would make it, we might as well do this. We can go into close. I'm just trying to get through everything and accommodate everybody. So if we go into closed session, I need a motion made by somebody.
We should let Vic go because he's here first for his report.
I'm
Don't you
good,
think?
I'm good.
You good? Okay.
Motion by
Me.
Bob,
Yep.
seconded by somebody.
I'll support.
Seconded by Ed. To go to closed session regarding the road and legal using MCL 15.261 in accordance with the Opens Meeting Act and the reason from attorney-client at 5:30 PM. Roll call, Cindy,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
David, yes. Okay, we're gonna go into closed session out back. You guys can all sit here. You don't have to everything. Okay, I need a motion by, second by Ed. To return to open session using MCL 15.261 in accordance with the Opens Meeting Act. And the time is 6:10 PM. Roll call vote, Cindy,
Yes.
Bob,
Yeah.
Ed,
Yes.
Amber,
Yes.
David. Okay, all vote yes. We are back in open session. So, we're gonna do more research. The board's gonna do more research with our attorney. Look into the items that you brought up today. Review the road end ordinance. And, I guess get back with you. And no other action you don't think is taken today. I think an enforcement action letter will come after that, but right now, we're just gonna do more research. What's it, I guess? Harbor Commission, Jim left. He turned in a report anyways. Parks and Rec.
Had a lot.
Okay.
First meeting minutes for both April and May are on the site, as is the agenda for the month of May. As far as specific requests included in the package were the bylaws that we have updated for the board to review, approve, or edit. In those bylaws, we made some simple changes, commission to a committee, which we aren't.
Also other minor edits. We added something called program directors. We have a program director. And those are essentially the only consequential changes to it. But there was another item that Al Taylor asked to present to the board for you guys to discuss. Do you have it up there that you want to show it, or?
So are we approving these tonight?
That was my request. If you can't, then.
No, 'cause I have some questions. I wasn't sure if we were moving to some different,
Well,
Are you talking about the ordinance over there?
talking about.
The credit?
The Park and Rec by.
Oh, never mind. I thought you just held up this one, so.
Okay, so, yeah, I mean, I have in red the items that are changed. If there are items that are part of the original bylaws that there's some question about, I would refer those to the board that created the bylaws, because I was not part of it. We just made changes that we thought to be relevant. And again, some of them were merely clerical, like changing commission to committee. But there were a couple more substantial ones, like, adding program director and such. So if you looked at it and want to vote, that's fine. If you need more time, then there's no emergency to us updating it.
I have a couple questions.
Go ahead.
Section 2, number 1 talks about this commission is established. But since you want to change it to committee,
It's
do you want
committee.
to change that?
We missed that.
It's okay.
Thank you.
I have one rush. Oh, I know what it was. So item number 6 says that all meetings of the committee are subject to the Open Meetings Act, with the exception of virtual attendance.
Correct.
So what part of the open meetings, so what's your intent?
The intent is that the Parks and Rec committee is a committee that has no authority on its own. It only has the authority that's granted to it by the board expressly at these meetings. And therefore, we really are not subject to those rules. However, we want to conduct ourselves in line with those rules, with the exception of having attendance, because it's a volunteer group, and we can't get everybody in the room at the same time. So as long as it says they can be heard, we would like to have that voting capability in virtue.
We talked and said, I know it's not subject to Open Meeting Act, but why not run it like that so when people can attend and.
It's just because you wrote the exception, and so I wasn't sure what, I was trying to understand.
Why?
Yep.
There is one other thing that I wanted to mention, because Al asked that it be mentioned. And I have that highlighted in gray under section 7. It's item number 2. It says the election of officers shall be by a majority vote of the committee. And Al was very concerned by that. He felt like the chairman's role should be determined by the board. And his reasoning was, since it's just a volunteer committee, somebody, like me is a terrible chair, but says, I want to be chair, there just might be the social pressure of someone else not raising their hands.
What section are you talking about? Say
I'm
that
talking
again.
about section 7, item 2, the highlighted part that's in section 3. Election of officers shall be by majority.
You want to go by board appointments,
Al would like it to be Al expressed the fact that he thought it should be a board appointment as opposed to an election by the.
So you think the Parks Committee thinks that the Township Board should be responsible for appointing the chair of that committee?
Yes, okay, that's his point. And we're okay whether it's by vote or by you guys establishing that. But I want to try to articulate this concern. His concern was, it's probably best that the Township Board make the decision of those that are there, which would be the best.
And I'll play devil's advocate. We don't do that with planning commission. We don't do it.
And again, I
We
don't.
let it play, we let it play out. No, I get it. We let it play out.
But I mean, the chair isn't working, the committee can name a new chair at any time. So just a little background for Cindy's benefit on these bylaws. We didn't have coherent, consistent bylaws, so we drafted bylaws for all the boards and committees except the planning commission, probably the board of review. And they were all modeled after one another. So I'm not necessarily opposed to these changes, but I want to make sure that we incorporate relevant changes in all the other bylaws as well, so that we're not, so they're consistent. And so we can do that and bring that back if we want to move forward with this. I do think the Open Meeting Act provision, and you're absolutely correct, these are advisory only, they're absolutely not subject to the Open Meeting Act. But if we say they are, that means you can't have a member be attending virtually and voting, and I think we should allow that for these advisory committees, just to make it easier for volunteers and their time, making it be valuable. So I'm in favor of that, but I also want to make sure we change that for these other advisory board and committees, maybe at a future meeting.
Well, so if I'm understanding, talk about that whole section about being compliant to that, should probably strike that from this.
I think it's more clear to strike it than to have it in there.
Okay, I will strike that and then resubmit it.
There you go.
And as far as
The chair,
the other committees, I can't speak to that. I'm just trying to get ours right.
Cindy, what are you asking that he strike? Exactly, just so I'm clear.
Now I just lost it. 6. Because, or sorry, section 9, number 6.
Just, you want to strike that whole thing?
Well, we just got done saying that they're not subject to the Open Meetings Act. And then if you're trying to say we want virtual attendance, so now you're saying with the exception, I'm just reading it saying if you're subject to the Open Meetings Act, you're telling me about, it just seemed
might as well eliminate.
incorrect language.
I take the 6 right out of that period.
So I'm saying, then why would we just strike the whole thing?
You could say all meetings of the committee are not subject to the Open Meeting Act, would actually be the correct sentence.
Well, why would you have to say that?
Well, because you're gonna have people questioning the fact if they have.
Well, and if you strike 9.6 out and don't replace it with anything, you're gonna get criticized that, oh, what are you hiding in these committee meetings, even though we're gonna post them and do all that stuff. So I don't know what the right path forward is, but I want to make sure that these volunteers can participate virtually if they need to. And we're asking them to do a lot for the township, and we ought to be able to accommodate that, particularly if we're not bound by statute. I don't know the right answer for that, but,
Let's work on that for next month. I think you need to say that they're not subject to the Open Meeting Act, but maybe put a but in there.
What do you do that? Take off the red, subject.
I think they
Meetings
can,
Act, period.
I think we can all behave. With the exception of it being virtual.
Well,
I mean, have everything open for public, that kind of thing, but I think the way that's worded is contradictory to.
Right, because they think you're violating the Open Meeting
so
Act.
you can say the committee meetings shall be posted and open to the whatever.
Okay, let's think about that, Vic, and come up with some different word.
put something into that effect. And, by the way, since we've now started managing it, the meeting minutes are always up and running before we even get to this meeting as the agenda. So if anyone is apt to criticize, they can always go out and look at the site, and see that we're perfect. So, all right, so that's all I have on that. Sorry?
No, I'm just asking Scott a question.
No, you guys aren't. I can do any more.
Oh, okay, no, we're not doing anything else. So I didn't want you to just sit here and then if I'm delaying you from doing, I don't want to do this. You're welcome.
Next subject is maintenance employee. You all recall that we reduced the number of hours that Jean had because Jean was doing dog cleanup and that sort of thing last year, and she didn't want to do that, so we reduced her hours and she's doing events only. But we also had nobody with Steve not being here to actually do the kinds of maintenance things that we need to do. So we took it upon ourselves to notify Maria Donaldson that she started June 1st. And her ongoing after today's meeting is subject to you guys approving her as a summertime maintenance employee. So you'll see on my submission that it's 10 to 15 hours per week. It would be June 1st through September 30th. It's $20 an hour. She visits each of the parks, Hardin, Eagle, and Belbeck 2-3 times a week to pick up trash if needed. Glen Park, she walks both legs 2-3 times a week to keep the trails clean, pick up trash, fix the boardwalks, other structures, and repair or report major items to me. North Point, same kind of thing, 3 to 4 times, walking all of the walkways and monitor and manage the dog waste stations, et cetera, et cetera. And Langland 4 times a week, similar kind of responsibility. So that's your guys' call, but we took, much like we did with the mowing of lawns, without having a contract, they need to be mowed. So I told them, go ahead and do that. Subject to your approval, you've since done that. I took the same approach with her, so.
I'll make a motion to approve her.
Okay, second, any discussion?
Who is this person gonna report to?
Reports, essentially reports to me, and she also reports to Jean. It's a almost family relationship there. So, but these are the
Who does
responsibilities
Jean report to?
ultimately to me, but you know, again, that's, I don't know if that's appropriate because she's an employee and I'm a
Exactly.
volunteer.
So my point is, and I think we talked about this before, I don't know forever.
She reports to him and he reports to me.
Well, ultimately.
She should report to one of us or somebody.
On paper, I mean, you can delegate that, but I don't think that you should have an employee reporting to a non-volunteer.
Agreed.
So I think we need to, and again, this gets into our discussion about an operations manager, whatever. There needs to be, I think there needs to be a designated township official, maybe, maybe that's Bob.
They may, I got too many FOIA.
Like you used to do with Steve Hall, right? And you got.
5 meetings.
I know, but this person will be done by then.
That is something too, because somebody needs to sign the pay or the
Can you do that?
hours at the end. I get
Bob will
what
do
you're
it. Never
saying.
mind, Bob will do it. Just tell her he's gonna turn her slip into Bob. That'll be
And Jean
resolved.
should turn her slip into. And.
And if Bob doesn't wanna do it, I'm welcome
No,
to do it and I can.
But Dick, somebody needs to sign off on that, because Bob's not gonna know what hours she worked necessarily. He's just gonna be reviewing it for reason.
Well, I mean, I don't know what sort of forms that we have that for employees to submit their hours and such. I wasn't part of that. I mean, if there's some process that needs to be followed,
We have a time card?
can you communicate that?
They
with
make their own.
Yeah,
Jean
it is.
sends them to me in an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay.
So,
I just wanna make sure that somebody here, whether it's Bob or Amber, is signing off on that with some knowledge of.
Okay,
next is, there is a new, Eagle supervisor. His name is Jacob Riley. He has agreed to meet with us in England to discuss the sand management issue. He's proposing July 3rd, July 8th, or July 9th. They would prefer a morning session, late afternoon. So we've talked about this issue for years. If you were to go out to Langland today, you would see that the rainstorm the other day, again, swooped all the sand from the north thing. It's easy to repair because we did not put the Moby mats down, which puts us in non-compliance with the grant that we received. So our hope is to get them here and to give us some relief on how we manage sand around our structures. So, anyone who's interested in attending that, those are the 3 days they offered up. I really want to take them up on this visit. And I'll make myself available on any of those days.
What were the dates? again?
July 3rd, 8th, or 9th, and I told them that I would get back with him tomorrow, whichever day we choose. Because they're in Cadillac, they would like the meeting to be either, say, 10 in the morning to as late as 1 or.
I can meet.
you just gotta tell us what day
Yeah, which date works best for you?
for you.
I'm good with any, this is up to you guys.
So 3rd, the 8th, and the what?
3rd, the 8th, or the 9th.
There to me.
So July 8th is a Monday,
3rd is Wednesday.
3rd is Wednesday, and.
July 8th will be the public accuracy test.
We don't wanna do that. Well, that's
So most
July
likely
9th
9th.
is a Tuesday.
Tuesday's fine. What time did you say? 1 o'clock?
They said either morning or early afternoon, so I think the range is 10 to 1, something like that, whatever works for you guys.
The 9th works with you guys.
Yeah, I can't do the night, but I don't need to be.
What about the 3rd? Can you be there on the 3rd?
You can try to be there on the 3rd.
Anybody else?
I can be there on.
July 3rd?
Either on the ninth.
Let's do the third, and then should I tell them 10 in the morning, or what time? Ed, what's best for you?
You said between 10 and 1.
They said morning or early afternoon, so
Yeah, we'll just make it,
Gonna have to post it.
if they've got more. than 2 board members.
3. Board members.
okay, so July 3rd, I'll pick 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
All right,
if we have to post it. We're gonna do that, confirm it, and tell Amber so we can get it posted.
You can just send me a
I'll confirm tomorrow.
brief, thank you.
Okay, these are just items that I wanted to note. We are in the process of scheduling a follow-up session with GTRLC. They've given some dates and we're all working through they've got some tool they use to pick dates. Included in the packet were some brochures that are ad hoc communications committee that would be Michelle have put together, and they're really nice. If you can scroll down a little bit, those are going to be placed at all of the hotels. And there's 2 different brochures. And so, hopefully that just generates more activity at our parks. I did not include in my submission of the packet an update on the trails project. As you guys know, that feasibility study is ongoing, and Rick is involved, obviously himself. So Parks and Rec for the township, as well as Parks and Rec for the village, and planning with both those entities. So moving forward on that, we've gotten expressions of support from the schools, from PLA, from the Conservation District, from County Recreation, Manistee City Recreation, the Manistee County Commission, Smart Trails, Little River Band, and MDOT. So everybody's behind us going forward with this trails project, which is great. You may recall that a grant Rick submitted to Michigan Health Endowment Fund, and they've come back to us with a few extra questions. I think, Ed, they were wondering when our most recent audit was, and just those kind of clerical things, but it indicates they're interested in perhaps helping us fund this. So that's great news, and I just want to make sure that everybody understands we're meeting with some success with that trails project. And then the other thing that I want to talk about, again, something to be thinking about along with the employee, is storage. You know, we have all that ADA walkway out there right now, and in our bid from that contractor, they agreed to put it in and take it out year 1. But we need to think about storing it. And, if we don't have a building across the street, we need to think about it now, because, September's coming. And we got to do something with it. And I don't think leaving it on the parking lot out in Langland is the right thing to do. So I don't have a
Not when
solution.
the juveniles are lighting bonfires in the parking lot.
Correct. So I'm trying to bring you something I don't have a solution for, but I think it's something that we need to figure out in the next several months. And then to a much lesser degree, as these events have been going over the last few years and they're getting a lot of public support, if you guys continue that, Michelle has a stash of things that she kind of needs in an events closet. So not as much room, but Parks and Rec is going to be needing some room for some storage and various things. So something to think about as we go forward.
Do
And
we,
that's all I got.
since Tammy's been sitting here, do we want to talk about it?
We skipped over. Well, no, this is road. This is. I'd
Sorry.
like to.
Yeah, okay, so I was gonna do it under this, so I still have markers at the farm, like. Someone piled up, storing for the township, there's quite a few, anyways, they're the big posts.
So I think that we need to mark that road right away with the galvanized posts. Because it's curved, we might want to put in
One in the
something,
middle.
well, or maybe a couple. We don't want it to be unsightly, so we need to figure out what's gonna look nice. We need to deal with the pre-existing encroachments, because I believe your fence encroaches in the, I think it's your fence, you have a fence that goes on the left side of that.
We have the white fence that encroaches on the road,
Yeah,
Midway.
so depending on where that road end actually starts, I mean, the question is, to your point, we have to look at the survey. Whatever the appropriate marking there is, we need to deal with any of the encroachments through probably a attorney encroachment easement.
Well, here, now that might change because we don't own it.
If they own it, then it might not change, but we need to mark it as such so that the public knows.
Well,
what it
she would
is.
like it marked, and I think we should mark it so the public doesn't end up backing up on their property, right? Basically, that's what they're.
I'm gonna stop that.
Well, they don't know where it is. I think most people, like we thought for years, think the thing goes straight, Bob. That's the problem.
Right.
Yeah. So they didn't, they
So
know.
if you put some of those galvanized posts along the left arc of that right of way, couple, and maybe there has to be some other stuff there. Maybe this is a special roading because that garage is pretty much entirely on the. It's the property. I mean, you want to direct the public, not, you gotta go around. So I think we just figure out what that looks like. And then we can send, you a letter letting you know, I think we are.
Well, why don't we figure out which one we're gonna do and send it to him and make sure it's meets there what you think is appropriate, okay? Because we wanna make sure, like you said, you don't want people backing up or driving onto your property, right?
Right, and you'll see from the survey that the easement ends in the gravel portion, which is where their driveway's coming out into. And so, I just sent a note to the boys and just said, we really need to let Holman's know that we plan on doing something on our property to define our property line by the easement. And if that's putting a fence up, then it's gonna block Holman's backing out. So that's for the issue.
That's gonna be an issue between, because their Holman's driveway actually is over, according to the survey. Is,
Through the easement and in our property.
yeah,
Have you had that conversation with Holman's?
no,
And maybe because we've gotten correspondence from Joni.
that's who we talked to, and she was very nice. by the
Oh,
way.
yeah.
So, I mean, do all of us need to sit down and figure that out, or are you gonna do what you're gonna do? And I mean,
You want us to get involved, because we've talked to her two different
I,
times.
it's, when you, and again, it's when we don't know what the plan is for their home.
Right.
If it's gonna be sold or what the deal
They're gonna
is.
demo it if someone buys it.
Okay, don't know. So the thing is, if they sell it, then it's, there's a driveway concern and it's an access concern and it's just, we need to define.
Fix it.
yes.
And so anyways, so my question was, while I was staying for public comment was, who will be answering the questions that I had? And so now you're telling me, you guys come to me, which is great,
Well-
or we'll sit with Joni, a representative of the Holman family. Great, I would love that.
They may not know their driveway's on your property.
Right? I don't know. If they haven't seen this, they may not know. But I would assume, because there's a stake, right? The survey stakes are right there. They knew.
So these road ends are the gifts that keep on giving to the township. They give and they give and they give. and
Yes.
they give. In the township, we've been very proactive, way before I even got on this, surveying these things and making sure the ones that are mowed need to be mowed. But, we've got a couple other enforcement actions that are pending with people storing stuff on these road ends or planting stuff in the road ends that they shouldn't be. And so we're not picking on any individual road end. We're trying to treat all the road ends equally to the best of our
Right.
ability. And it's a challenge because every year people push the limits on it. And then we had the high water and we lost some markers.
Right.
Just becomes an ongoing management challenge.
So, and I was talking to Dave earlier, and when the access, there's 180 feet according to the county road commission, 180 feet of midway. So does the access start at the 180 feet mark? Or not? And if that's an access, fishermen can park there, go fishing, and I can't get out of my driveway. So has it been an issue in the past? No. But if the township's gonna promote these public accesses, like it was in the meeting notes.
This actually isn't one of them.
We'll look at.
We'll look at that.
I
I'm
know.
not so sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, I get it.
Because, yeah, and part of it is too, the title chain, we have to look at that and make sure we know.
Right,
And also, I mean, okay, so then what, maybe you post it no parking, there's different ways to deal with all those issues.
right. So I will wait then for somebody to get to me and. show
Thank
me.
you for your letter. I appreciate
Oh,
getting stuff. in.
Very well, Amber, I reached out. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you,
thanks, Terry.
thank you.
Public, we'll get, yeah.
No, this is the road.
This is the, we're just under road.
I have one other road issue, and I don't know the proper way to communicate this with the road commission, but at the end of Lake Isle and Lake Side. By the.
We're all the
sunset
same- we're all the
house,
same
there's an
issue.
Absolute disaster mess that needs to be dealt.
I mean, all the sand.
Well, like, what I would like to see done personally is understand how much road right of way is there. And I would like to encourage the county to look at what it would take, and Lakeside is the one that parallels Lake Michigan. So if you stand up at the top of the hill and look down at it, it does this, and then it comes back, and right here is the access to the sunset. I'd like to see them, if we have right of way, straighten that out, delineate it, because what happens is people park bikes and strollers perpendicularly, so they stick out way into that intersection. And then you get somebody who parks right here in the corner, and you can't even get a car through hardly, much less a emergency vehicle. And then along Lake Isle where it's all sandy, I've seen many people get stuck there. So if there's right of way, I think it would behoove us, because we advertise this as a public access point and it's very widely used, to see if we can't at least put some gravel along that shoulder, take out the sand and put some gravel and beef it up, or possibly even pave it so that there's place where people can actually park, because right now, it's just a free for all. But I'd like to encourage.
Call him.
I mean, you should take a drive out there and look.
I have been out there again. I put it forward.
Exactly. Even with that, you almost get. And particularly when you turn left off of Lake Isle on the lake side. And mark no parking there, but people park on that left-hand side, and it's really difficult to get through there.
The other part on roads, they're working on Millark Road. It's closed. They're grinding it up. I think it's all ground up, but they're putting gravel in. Haven't heard anything from 11 miles since that meeting we had. I haven't heard.
There's been, MDOT's been out there kind of sniffing around, and I've seen some road commission trucks, like they're looking at it.
No idea, okay. Well, we didn't get sued on that yet, so. Just threatened to be sued. So. One of the gentlemen out there threatened to sue us for not doing the road this year. Well, here, planning commission. Nothing, got a report, we have a written report, didn't we?
The only reports I got were, mine, Ed, and Parks and Rec.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so I'm supposed to bring a record.
No. Got anything to report? What did you guys do?
Well, we're supposed to have a public hearing.
Which got canceled because they removed it. Right.
So then there was just, there were comments from the public, and then talked about, future agenda items. Basically, that was it.
Okay.
Want to say anything about the owl, future meetings?
Well, thanks to your help, beginning the next meeting, which is next week, we will have the Zoom meetings, and I think it's already been posted to the site. And I will be a rookie at it, so I need everybody's patience at the next meeting. But,
And we're working through a couple little technical difficulties that solve one way or another. Maybe not the permanent solution, but to make it work.
Okay. What's that?
yeah,
Thank you. Board review, July, errors, corrections, mistake, oh no. Rephrase that. Errors. Something that can be documented. That's really no appeal in July. Recycle, we kind of talked about that, don't you think? Or do you want to talk about it some more? I think we need to we need to see what they're gonna propose.
So you're gonna. discuss.
I know, but I'll bring that all back to the board.
I just would reiterate. PA 69 is a special assessment that's supposed to support this recycling initiative. Seems like it should pay more, so.
Hopefully they raise the rate, it probably would. I think.
I'm sure,
We can ask
I'm
that
sure the Parks Department would like another 15 grand or whatever it is. We might end up needing to fund parks improvements, or we might want to do whatever. That's my opinion.
Okay, PLA, we don't have a PLA report anymore, do
No, they'll not be here.
Or they'll not be here. Invasive,
It's not gonna be.
okay. Public comment, Dan.
Just, I'm concerned about potential for selective enforcement, of these road end issues. Just bear with me, that's one question. Is Midway Township road end or county road end? Because in Mrs. Messner's letter, she indicated it was being plowed by the county. So it takes to me.
It's a township, it's under the township road end ordinance.
But it's owned by private individual.
So
But if the county's plowing it, to me that would.
Well, I don't know if they are.
Well, that's what she said in her letter.
They're plowing the road in?
well, they're plowing part of. Tammy's point is the road, she thinks Midway extends a ways past the intersection where it goes, makes that sharp 90 degree. So Midway extends beyond Bayview a ways before the quote road end starts. We gotta look at the survey. See. And
I'm not
that's
so, is that in our ordinance, that Midway?
It's listed as a township road end in the ordinance. I guess I'm questioning if that's currently.
It is in the.
So I think what Tammy is saying, and I don't wanna paraphrase her, is I think they're plowing the part of Midway that still is a county road, but the road end is township, I believe is what that, we have to double check.
So the other question, so why aren't there steel posts at Seventh Street and Ninth Street Road?
Portage Lake, those are, county.
That's correct, I believe it's.
There's right over here. Sixth Street is also county.
So the county is responsible for putting those, I believe Seventh and Ninth Street probably have to do something with Portage Point Inn and whether or not the county cut a deal or made an arrangement or something with the inn, I can't speak. We wouldn't put those out on those roads.
We don't put them out on county roads. Now, the county might, but we don't do that. And we don't, we have all our smart, we ordered new, we have some new ones, some got taken out by the ice, some got taken out by high water, disappeared.
Some get taken out.
And some got taken out by people, but what all the road ends from Portage Point Inn going south along Portage Lake are not our jurisdiction.
The posts are all the same.
But the posts might be the same, but they're not our jurisdiction. That is county road commission jurisdiction.
So the county isn't concerned. about violation.
You have to ask them.
So I don't think we selectively, to answer your question, do we selectively?
No,
No.
that wasn't my question. I just made a statement that I was concerned about.
Okay. I'm not so sure Ninth Street has been vacated. Actually.
That's a.
But then again, that's a county deal, so what?
Which point to do.
Yeah.
Who has the jurisdiction over?
I think Portage Avenue is part of, I look at the map here, I don't have them all memorized, but. Portage Avenue.
Yeah, we can move on. Anyone else for public comment?
I have another meeting.
Go ahead.
I don't know if this is for the township or the county, but.
Can I get your name real quick, just so I have for the minutes?
It's Dan North.
Oh, I knew what yours was, I just didn't know what hers was.
Carolyn.
Oh, I'm sorry. You look like you were looking at me.
I'm sorry.
Carolyn. Anyhow, you can't get down to the beach at Pierport, it's really eroded.
I thought they just fixed that. That's what Brad told me.
But you still can't get down there, they put something down that, you know, I mean, I've been talking to all these elderly people, have been coming to my house saying they, if I would go to the board and complain, and I said, yeah, I'll go. But anyhow, you can't get down to the beach, it's awful, and it's, you know, because of the erosion, and I didn't know if it was the county that.
County, it's road commission, road owned.
Well, it's, I mean, it's, yeah, it's road in. but-
No, I mean, it's the county road commission's jurisdiction, their road, and it's not ours.
County road.
But I would think we should mention that to them. and see
He
if
just told me they just fixed that the other day.
Maybe.
Well,
maybe
it's
when we're
not,
down
my
there-
horse won't even go down it, so.
Do they still have all that concrete stuff on the right that they
Yeah.
tried to put in at one point and that's kind of eroded now?
Yeah,
They might have washed it.
it's really dangerous.
Oh,
Which
but
road
what's
was it
there?
that you were talking
It's at the end of 13 Mile.
Okay.
It's right up at Lake Michigan in Pierport.
Okay,
Pardon?
13 miles.
It'd be really
Well,
nice. I mean,
beyond Lakeview.
have you seen what they did in Arcadia?
Yeah, that's it. Pardon?
Have you seen what they did in Arcadia where they had that same issue? And
Yeah.
they regraded that all and they got that all fixed.
That
That's
looks
nice.
really good.
It'd be
that
nice if we could do something like that.
That looked great. And I don't know what you can do, but something needs to get done, because people are saying, you know, it's summer, and they've got families coming up and nobody can get to the beach and.
Okay, I'll call Brandon now. Dan, did you get your thing, show him what?
You talking about Street?
No, Portage Avenue.
Portage Avenue is. That's where the, PBRC boat launch is.
It goes all the way down to First Street, which is basically the channel. It goes all the way in front. Correct?
Portage Avenue, as I understand it, is the same as out. That came up in last year's meeting where we showed that all the historical things appeared that both outlet and the exact same avenue based on the description on the plat maps and everything else. So unless you know something different, I think Portage and Outlet are the same avenue and they are in the jurisdiction of the and identified as public.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
I have one more question. Can you tell me what's going on with the Cook property there next to Portage Point Inn? Are they building there? Are they, I
Are
mean,
they
was
building
that,
there today?
was that approved?
Did they get, I don't know if they got their land use permit. I think they did.
Who would know?
Zoning department.
At our township or
Um,
the county?
The county, who we,
I just wondered if what happened transpired with that.
I'm pretty sure they got a land use permit, but I don't know if they've got a building permit yet. I don't have access to that information.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Correspondence, I don't have any bills to be paid. Someone make a motion.
I have a quick question. There's something in the packet here about the flat roof on fire burn patching code. Is that a just FYI or?
just an FYI. It was, storm damage, so the insurance is still.
Oh, you weren't here today. So the adjuster was, I'm sorry, the adjuster was here today. They're gonna replace, I think, the siding on two sides. Bob?
He's gonna recommend. He only recommends insurance company.
The
He's
sides.
gonna recommend the siding be replaced on that side and this side.
And replace the road.
Replace the window. Replace the heat pumps,
All the cover for the generator
cover for the generator
and the road.
and the roof.
He thinks
He's
it's
gonna-
damaged too much to
Too much damage, and he's gonna
recommend.
recommend they replace the complete roof.
That's gonna be not cheap, so.
At that point, we'll repaint the other two sides of the building, and match the new side, and you've been wanting to do that. It's starting to get accident.
Okay, motion for bills, Bob.
I'll make that.
Is there a second? Cindy second? Cindy? Cindy second. Thank you. All of discussion, all in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye, opposed, that's carried. Adjourned.
Now you can't go anywhere. Election commission meeting.
So, Dad,
You don't need to separate.
you tell me when you want me